Now, terrorists found a loophole in airline security at the weekend, sneaking bombs aboard cargo planes bound for the UK and Dubai. But authorities are determined to make sure that never happens again. Britain, for one, is making immediate changes to airport security, starting with a ban on unaccompanied freight from Yemen.
We are going to be looking at the security that we adopt in relation to freight. We'll be talking to the industry about these matters. I think crucially, we've taken action in relation to the Yemen, but as part of our ongoing process of looking at our security arrangements, we will continue talking to the industry about the appropriate arrangements, the appropriate screening that's in place.
These terrorists think that our connectedness, our openness as modern countries is what makes us weak. They're wrong. It's a source of our strength, and we will use that strength, that determination, that power and that solidarity to defeat them.
So for more on this terror threat that's almost impossible to detect, we're with counter-terrorism expert and CEO of International Corporate Protection, Geddes. Thank you very much indeed for coming in to speak to us. So what does the discovery of these two bombs really tell us about airline security?
Well, I think it certainly shows us that the cargo side of airline security is not to the levels that perhaps we thought it might have been. And certainly as travellers ourselves and travelling across the world on commercial airlines, we've been impacted with a lot of security procedures and checkings and delays which subsequently knock onto our travel. However, obviously we've seen these devices travel through cargo channels almost undetected.
Exactly, because of course since September the 11th, 9/11, security measures for passenger flights have been tightened, but then at the end of the day, how do they compare to regulations for freight? Well,
they should cross both channels equally as importantly, but what we've seen here is obviously some weaknesses and some vulnerabilities that an Al-Qaeda affiliated group have exploited. So I think a lot of the airlines are going to be thinking very carefully, and especially because a large number of commercial airlines actually carry cargo as well. And there will be some big questions being raised, certainly at the COBRA meeting here in London today, as to what can be done to secure cargo, if only here in the United Kingdom.
And the bombs themselves seem to have been expertly constructed. Investigators said the bomb discovered in Dubai was concealed and packed into a printer cartridge, as you know, to avoid detection by scanner. This shows a worrying level of sophistication, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, what's most concerning is obviously there's a surplus of PETN which keeps coming out of Yemen, which is this explosive component, and it would seem that they've got extensive resources. Secondly, the actual capabilities, as you rightly say, that have been put into concealing these devices. Al-Qaeda have always wanted to conceal devices into either about the person's body or into everyday objects. But the level of sophistication in these devices that we're beginning to see is getting better and better.
So how difficult is it to examine huge freight containers? At the end of the day, can something like this be prevented?
Well, it can be, but it is going to be difficult. I mean, everybody knows that security is never 100%. However, you can put in as many partitions as you possibly can to try and make it difficult for the terrorists to get through. One of which will be to look at certain countries where cargoes are coming from, where there is a high level of terrorist activity or a weak governmental infrastructure.
And are their security systems good enough? Are there other third world countries like Yemen which simply don't have the money to spend on the right equipment and infrastructure?
Absolutely. I mean, and many of those sort of developing countries or emerging markets have changed supply security. So again, you can't test it and check it all the way through. So we're having to look at these countries and say, got to be very cautious when cargoes are coming from them.
Geddes, Chief Executive Officer of International Corporate Protection, thank you so much.